I think God's got a plan for us. And for me at McKendree, it's very much coming home. I graduated from high school in the neighboring town.
I didn't realize that.
Right. I'm actually pastor of McKendree, but I was baptized a Baptist 3 blocks down the road at First Baptist Church years ago.
Oh, okay.
So a lot of people look at me as a boy made good coming home.
Hello, this is Pastor Terry Goodman, and I want to welcome you to the Wesleyan Connection. This podcast is primarily for the clergy and laity of the Holston Annual Conference. Join with me now as I take a look around the Connection and share some of the things happening in the churches of our annual conference. I consider this podcast a very special podcast. I'm getting to talk with Joey Manis, and we've got some things in common. Both of us have served the same church. He's serving there currently, and I served there in the past. Both of us have large families, and both of us got to live in this tremendous parsonage at the McKendree Church in Chattanooga. And this podcast is just a couple of pastors sitting down and talking about parsonages and talking about raising large families in parsonages, and it's just a conversation between two friends. The sad thing about it is it was a great conversation, and the battery died in my recorder toward the end. Luckily, it saved the first 12 minutes of the conversation, but there was another maybe 5 to 6 minutes that is just lost to time now. It sort of ends in a strange way, but that's only because I have nothing else to put on the air. I think you'll enjoy what we did get a chance to record. It's just good to sit back and talk sometimes about these kind of things. So I hope you enjoy the podcast. Well, I'm glad to start a conversation now with a fellow minister in the annual conference, Joey Manis, and we have something in common, and that is that both of us have served at the same church, which is McKendree, down in the Chattanooga District, and both of us have lived in the McKendree parsonage. And we're here to talk today about parsonage life when there's lots of kids involved.
Yes.
Now, how many kids do you have, Joey?
Now, I have 8 children, 7 of which live at home.
7 live at home. When I was at McKendree, let's see, I brought 2 with me, and 2 were born while I was there. Mm-hmm. So ours were probably on the much younger end than yours. I've seen some of your Facebook posts, and your kids look a little bit older.
Just a little bit. We range in ages from 30 to 6 years old.
Okay, well, I've got a 19, 17, 15, and 12-year-old.
Yeah.
And all of mine are boys.
Right, we fill in those gaps.
You fill the gaps, huh?
That's right.
Well, one of the things that back in 1999 or 2000, I was serving at Rockwood, and I knew it was time for a move. We had already had 2 children born, and the district superintendent says, "Is there anything that maybe we need to think about with you?" I said, "Here's the deal. You can send me anywhere you want to send me. Just send me to a place that's got a good house to raise some kids." And I got the McKendree parsonage.
It's the perfect place.
For those that don't know, how would you describe the McKendree parsonage?
It's a mansion. It's really, a lot of people call it now the Manis Mansion, because it is a large home, but it's absolutely gorgeous. One of I call her our matriarch, had a dream, Agnes Boz, who, by the way, is 102 years old.
She's still living.
She's still living at 102 years old. And her dream was to develop the property next to her, to have a parsonage for McKendree that would be something that church would be extremely proud of. And to be honest with you, it is the perfect parsonage.
It is. I think it's like 3,450 square feet, I think we calculated. It's got 4 bedrooms, 3.5 baths. The master suite is bigger than some floors on the entire parsonages I've lived in before.
Absolutely.
Huge bedroom, bathroom that's like 14 by
20, I think.
Right, and don't forget the bonus room
over the garage,
which we use as a bedroom.
That's a double garage bonus room.
Absolutely.
So it's a huge house, and I've got the 4 kids that we raised there, and you're raising 7 there. How do you think that being a pastor and raising that many kids, how does that affect your ministry? Do you feel like we get limited to places we're sent because we got to have a house big enough, or how does God work through that for you?
For me, every time that we have been moved, the parsonage has been chosen for us by the bishop and the cabinet to fit our needs, or a parsonage was to be built. One of our parsonages we actually built while I was there as pastor. And so there was a church that had a parsonage that we rented because we sold the one of that church, and then we built a new one. So there was a lot of moving that year. Do we get limited? In some ways, yes, but we do that because of the size of our own children. But I'm lucky, and I think we are in Holston, that our bishop and cabinet do try to take that into consideration. But more than that, I think God's got a plan for us. And for me at McKendree, it's very much coming home. I graduated from high school in the neighboring town. I'm actually,
I didn't realize that.
Right. Actually, I'm actually pastor of McKendree, but I was baptized a Baptist 3 blocks down the road at First Baptist Church years ago.
Oh, okay.
So a lot of people look at me as a boy made good coming home. So for us, the Manis family, a lot of people look at us and say, okay, that's Joey's family. He's one of us. And so for that, it's been great. But in some ways, there's limitations to having a large family. Money, you don't get to pick up and go on vacation like some families do.
I understand.
You have to plan.
There's 6 in our family, and before they were in school, we could do vacations if we planned it just right. But once school started, now we can't afford to go during the summer months because you get cheaper rates before Memorial Day.
That's right.
And after Labor Day.
I'm lucky because I married an accountant, and my wife is a very smart woman with money. I am not. I don't spend frivolously. It's just that she's better at doing that than I am. So we get to take a 2-week vacation in the summer to her hometown in Pensacola, Florida. And she has done all the studies and saves every penny, nickel, and dime. And so while some of our kids have an Xbox One in some of their homes, we have an Xbox 360. So we don't have state-of-the-art stuff, but we have good stuff. But that does enable us to do things around the year.
In the Goodman home, if they want an Xbox One, they save up and buy it themselves.
Yes.
We made it clear to them, and it's taught them that, okay, that's going to cost us a gazillion arms and legs. Can we go in together? I said, you can go in however you want to,
yes,
as long as you all come up with the money to buy it.
That's right.
And it's amazing what they can do when you challenge them.
They're very resourceful.
Very resourceful to get the one that they want.
Right.
So when you think of a parsonage life, there's always the stories. There's always the things that come to mind. Can you think of any stories that really endear your heart even to today of growing up with your kids in a parsonage?
Oh, the first time that my wife and I had children, we adopted an 11 and 12-year-old girl. Little girls. I say little, they weren't little, but one of my favorite stories is we were pastoring up in Fries, Virginia, 6 churches. And the smallest of those churches is a wonderful church called Stevens Creek United Methodist Church. And we received the girls, and they had nothing. All they had is a garbage bag with a few clothes, nothing that was going to sustain them. And of course, me being a guy, I'm not used to having girls. I had a half sister, but she didn't even live with us. So that kind of did that. So that church, luckily in that area, all of the families had girls. So they brought a truckload of clothes, of blue jeans and shirts and coats and things for our girls, because they wanted our children to be included. When we were a part of this present congregation, everybody was excited because they hadn't had children in the parsonage for a long time. They had teenagers, but since there hadn't been any children.
Mm-hmm.
So for them to go from having one teenager, older teenager, or a young 20-year-old, now they have a house full of children. It was exciting for the church because they immediately had to develop a youth program and a younger children's class in Sunday school and a youth Sunday school. It really forced the church to kind of make it in that way. So our family did something good for the church, but they've been great.
The same sort of thing happened when I came to my current place, Trinity, in Big Stone Gap. You know, they had not had children there in ages, probably 20, 25 years. And suddenly they come in with a full-fledged family with 4 boys.
Right.
And, you know, I think that they would be willing to move me tomorrow, but they would want to make sure my family stayed behind.
Yeah, I think a lot of times that happens.
You know, I think that the children really get into the hearts of the congregation members, and my members are always asking about my boys and how they're keeping track about what they're doing and so forth.
In fact, I'll be honest with you, Terry, since you mentioned you were at McKendree some years ago, we get, I always say, news briefings from the Goodman family. But when your son received the award, the Denman of Evangelism Award, it was big news at McKendree, and we all were as excited. I wish y'all would have been there, but they got a standing ovation. It was very exciting to see it because they know that they helped, in a small way, develop those young people into what they are today.
Yeah, David would have been 1.5, maybe almost 2 when we moved there, and then we stayed there 5 years. So they saw him up until he was about 7 years old.
Mm-hmm. They certainly do.
I just sometimes wonder when I think about families and stuff. You know, in my current situation, I've been there. I'm in my 5th year. Mm-hmm. I've got 2 boys that are one's a junior and one's a sophomore. So I'm praying the cabinet that will leave me for 2 more years,
right,
you know, to get them through high school.
Right. And
then, you know, I've got my other son, the youngin', so to speak. He's 6th grade. He'll have finished up 8th grade by that time. Churches, I think, are like it when the pastors can stay, especially when they've got families. And I don't know how do you balance all that off, you think, with ministry? At some point, you've got such a wide span. You know, I've got a good break point in 2 years if they need to move me.
Right.
But I would be willing to stay for 4 more.
Right. I'm with you.
So, how have you handled those kind of transitions where maybe kids, I'm having to leave in the middle of high school?
I have one daughter that's literally been in 5 schools in the past 2 parishes. Because of her age. She went from an elementary school to a middle school. And then from there we had to move to the new parsonage, which meant she went to another middle school. So that's 3. And then she went to a middle school there in Jasper, and she'll be now going into high school. So that'll be 5 schools in 5 years. So what she's decided to do in her 9th year is be homeschooled. And because she said, Daddy, I just don't want the drama. And for her to say that's a big thing.
This is Pastor Goodman. Thanks for listening to this edition of the Wesleyan Connection. Be sure to check back often for more podcasts.